friends, my name is Al or Lilstarnerd, and welcome to today's episode of Money Please. Money. That's a joke. Today, I'm going to be giving you some advice based on my 5-ish years experience online offering commissions. I've gone from $5 digital sketches to $200 gouache pieces and $300 canvases. I've gone from, a commission every few months to 5 open at any given time. So I feel like I have enough experience to give advice. There are so many great videos and resources about this topic that I absolutely recommend you go check out. But I know from experience researching topics that are hard and scary like this, it's really nice to get a lot of information from a lot of different sources because we're not all doing the same thing at the same time. So it's good to see different perspectives. So I want to throw my hat in the ring and hopefully you'll find what I have to say helpful. And if not, maybe I can just be good background noise while you clean your room. Also, keep in mind that I am not an actual professional. I don't know anything about legal issues. I don't know a lot about money. So keep that in mind. I'm strictly speaking from my experience as an artist online, and this is all my opinion. So don't get mad at me, and also you feel free to disagree, okay? So let's start from absolute beginning, square one. When can I start offering commissions? Do I need a following to offer commissions? So the easy answer is whenever you feel ready. Whenever you feel confident with your art to sell it, that's when it's time. And you definitely don't need any sort of following. I think I started offering commissions 1 or 2 weeks after I started my first ever art Instagram, my only art Instagram. So I only had 20 followers. So you don't need a following. There is no criteria you need to meet. There is no skill level you need to be at. There is no follower count that you need to be at. There's no rules. You can start whenever you feel confident and comfortable in your ability. That's the most important thing. So just because your commissions are open doesn't mean people will be banging down your door to order them, but it doesn't hurt if you don't get orders. I've learned having them open and available, it helps. Just having people come along and see that you offer them, they might take advantage of that opportunity and order a commission. So keeping it open, regardless of whether you're getting orders or not, does not hurt. So when it comes to deciding whether or not you're ready to open commissions, focus on yourself. Are you ready? Are you comfortable? Are you confident? Don't worry whether or not you have an audience or if you have a line waiting to commission you. Just worry about if you're ready. One last bit of advice in terms of determining when to start. If what's holding you back is your concern for your own ability, if you're doubting your own ability to fulfill a commission, I recommend having a friend order a fake commission from you. Basically, just do a trial run. Mock up a fake commission info sheet, with just 4x6, 5x7, 8x10. Have them pick a size, have them DM you and, request this character with this background, with this modification, and do the whole process. See how you work under those conditions, under, professional setting. See how it works being given restrictions and requests. See if you're comfortable in that situation. And if it works fine for you, then, you're ready to do it. And if it doesn't work well, then you have some kinks to work out. But if that's what's holding you back, just do a test run. You'll learn that there's nothing to be afraid of. And also just remember that this isn't a one-time deal. If you open your commissions and no one commissions from you, that doesn't mean that you have to close them and never offer them again. Just keep them open. It does not hurt. It doesn't matter if you don't get commissions. Have them open anyway. Don't let fear like that hold you back. It doesn't hurt to just offer commissions, just to offer commissions. You know what I'm saying? Next step. How do I get customers? Back in middle school and high school, I offered gray pencil portraits with a mechanical pencil and printer paper, and my clientele base were my peers via Facebook and occasionally my dad's coworkers when they saw my work taped up at his desk. Facebook is an absolute wasteland, but if you like me, you have at least 1 or 2 overly enthusiastic and nosy aunts that will happily order commissions from you and will boost whatever post you do on Facebook and be like, oh my God, look, they do such good art, you have to commission them. And their friends will commission you. It's embarrassing, it's awkward, but it's definitely an option. Because I don't have experience, I don't have a lot of advice on real life networking, but I've seen in my time, I've seen a lot of artists, small artists, take prints and business cards to local stores. So not big chain art stores, but local hobby stores, local paint mixing places, local framing shops, hobby shops, things like that. I've seen, and local art galleries. Just take a few prints and take your business cards and ask if you can set them up there. I see people do that all the time. I don't think they'll say no unless I have good reason to. You're fine. You should definitely try. When it comes to being on Instagram, I definitely suggest posting about it pretty often, just reminding people that they're there. I will post when they're open, and I will count down how many slots are available. And if they don't get filled up right away, about a week or two later, I'll remind people hey, I still have slots open. I remind on my story pretty regularly that I do commissions, because people won't think about it until they see you say it, and that'll jog their memory oh yeah, I wanted a commission from them. So just keep it on people's minds. And then in terms of getting new customers, I definitely suggest making posts that are fun and interesting. Request that people share them if they can, if they're willing to, maybe some mutual artist friends, if they're willing to share it. Usually they are. Artists love to support each other. That's a great way to get your name out there as well. Now let's talk about what to offer as a commission, which might seem obvious, but to some people, me, it's not. This is gonna make me sound dumb, but it took me a long time to realize that I shouldn't offer things that I didn't know how to do. For some reason, I felt I needed to have multiple things to offer. You don't. There's no minimum, there's no maximum of commission types that you have to offer. I wish I had known that. If you offer one thing, that is perfectly fine. If that is a good thing that you are good at doing, that is perfectly fine. Don't offer things that you don't know how to do like I did. If you do a lot of digital and you've only ever done 2 traditional portraits, even if they're good, you might not be able to do them that well every time. So maybe you shouldn't be offering traditional yet until you have more experience under your belt. I didn't do much good digital. I was doing better traditional art, but for some reason, I was offering digital. Basically, offer what you're good at and comfortable with. You should feel comfortable with the entire process from beginning to end. You should know about how long it's going to take, how much energy it's going to take from you. You should feel confident in everything that you're going to offer. Otherwise, it's not fair to you or your clientele, your customer. So when it comes down to it, offer things that you're good at and that you know you're good at. Don't offer things that you've only tried once just because it seems like a good idea. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Now, for the most confusing part, the scariest, most intimidating part, how do I price my commissions? By far, figuring out pricing is one of the hardest parts of offering commissions, and I think it's what holds a lot of people back. It's really confusing. It is. You need to make sure that you are fairly compensated, but you want to make sure that it's fair and affordable for your customers. You have so much to take into consideration, like your experience, your products, the supplies that you're using, the time that it takes. It's confusing. It's a lot to think about. I think that a lot of non-artists who get commissions, they think that they're paying for a product, whereas they're actually paying for the entire process of creating the art. And I think people don't know that. And so a lot of people might hopefully not a lot of people might tell you that, your commissions are too expensive, or that, why would I pay $30 for this little picture? But there's a lot that goes into making art, and you should not feel bad about pricing fairly and making sure that your work is properly appreciated and compensated for. It can be a difficult battle to assign a price to your work, especially when you're dealing with things like imposter syndrome and insecurity. It can be hard, but know that you put a lot of time into your work and you deserve to be paid for it. So don't feel bad about that, and don't let people tell you that your prices are too expensive. I found that with experience and time and practice, pricing comes pretty intuitively to me. I can look at something that I've done and be like, okay, this feels like a $20 piece, or this feels like a $50 piece. I kind of know how much I feel my art and my time is worth, and I can pretty easily price things, but that it comes with experience. It's really hard to do off the bat, and that's not helpful advice either. So that's bad advice. So we're gonna actually talk about pricing methods. So this is mostly for traditional artists, because I do mostly traditional, but there are 2 main methods for pricing art. One being hourly, which is where you set yourself an hourly rate above minimum wage. Let me repeat that, above minimum wage. If I hear there's someone out there pricing their art at $5 an hour, I will personally come to your house and smack you, okay? Okay. In doing research, I found that a lot of artists were pricing somewhere between 15 and 25, sometimes more, sometimes less. It takes a lot of things into consideration, like your cost of supplies, experience, education, skill level, things like that. I don't have much experience with this at all, definitely not firsthand. I don't like this method. Someone who does have experience with this might be able to give more information, but I personally just don't like this method because I don't know a lot about it, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I have no idea how long a piece takes me. Half of my process is just sitting there and staring at it, while I listen to like MasterChef Junior in the background. And I can't charge for that. I feel like it might be hard to give a customer an estimate price based on an hourly wage. Some people who have better organizational skills than me might be able to do that, but I feel like I wouldn't. And I know that that would scare me as a customer, not being told how much I would need to pay. That would be a turnoff for me, and I imagine it would be for other people too. The second method is price per square inch, which is where you determine the price based on a cost per square inch of your piece, as the name suggests. Again, to determine this price per square inch, we're considering the experience level, the education, your cost of supplies, etc., etc. So for example, an oil painting using really nice supplies with a high experience and education might be at like $10, even more per square inch, which is expensive. It gets very expensive, it racks up. For my skill level and the supplies that I use, I generally price about $1 to $3 per square inch, depending on like the medium. And some people might do less, some people might do more. It's still confusing. Determining the price per square inch is more of a step in the process rather than the solution, in my opinion. So like I'm using this as a template in determining the price. For example, I recently took a commission for an 18 by 24 canvas, and I think that's about 320-ish, I think, square inches. And so already just doing $1 per square inch is already a really expensive commission. And that would probably be something my gut tells me to do maybe $2 to $3 per square inch for that kind of commission. That's like racking up to like maybe $700 or more dollars, which I did not feel good about charging someone that much for a painting like that. So I kind of estimated. I looked at the square inch and I took into consideration all the aspects of this commission, and then I determined the cost based on that. Price per square inch just makes more sense to me because you know how much it's going to cost up front, and you can tell the customer that, and you know how much you're being paid for your work, which helps you make decisions down the road. Like if you're one of those people who never knows when to stop, knowing how much you're paid kind of helps you determine like, okay, I've done enough, I don't need to keep working type of thing. I feel like that just is much more clear-cut for everyone involved, and I feel like I'm more confident when that's the method that I'm using. For digital artists, I recommend having a certain cost for certain types of elements. So for each figure, it's like $20, $60, whatever. And then for each additional, it's either that same price or a fraction of that price. I think my digital is something like $35 per figure and like $15 per every extra figure or something like that. I think that just is an easy like formula for it. But digital is kind of complicated, in my opinion, so I don't know that I'm really the best person to give advice on that. For my pricing, like I said, is really intuitive. I like to think about like how much I would like to be paid based on the work that I'm doing and what's expected of me. And then I also think about like how much would I personally be willing to pay for this. And then I kind of settle in between with also factoring in square inch prices, which gives me a nice baseline. It's a lot of things to take into consideration, and it definitely... Your pricing methods will evolve over time as you become more experienced. But yeah, it can definitely be really complicated, but don't think too hard about it. Like think about like, what am I willing to pay? What is the price per square inch? What is the number in the middle? Kind of like that. It does not need to be that complicated. It's scary though, I get it. And then also shipping. This to me is the hardest part. It makes me really anxious. I don't like figuring this stuff out. It scares me. My general rule is that if it's domestic, it's $5, and if it's international, it's $10. Although I'll probably be raising that because I just did a few, and they were each like $17. So I'm probably going to be raising that price. But generally, I just have like an estimate that I have people pay, and if it goes above that, it's kind of like, well, that can eat into the commission a little bit. It's fine. In terms of determining shipping costs, I use the same envelopes for everything. I have 2 specific envelope sizes, and they are used for literally everything except for like giant canvases. And I know generally about how much they're going to cost. Like I know that the small one costs pretty much the same no matter where it's going domestically, so I know how much to charge for it. So it didn't take me too long to figure out like how much about shipping would cost. And if you don't know, you can always package up a fake order, slap on some random like zip code, and ask the post office to like estimate the shipping for you, and you can get an idea that way. And you can always just make it a policy or let the customer know that they might need to pay extra shipping later on if it turns out that it's way more expensive than you thought it would be. That can always be an option for you. Overall advice in terms of determining your costs, your prices, get really familiar with your process. Do a few trial runs and ask yourself, am I being fairly compensated for my time? Is this worth it for me? And that'll kind of help you determine if your prices are going in the right direction or not. There we go. How do I figure out the timeline? How do I limit my time working on a project? So for me, I like to give myself a wide enough window that I have time to work on multiple things. If I hit really bad art block, I have time to go through that and get over it and still have time to finish my commission. I have time for school. I have time for personal issues. So I generally give my window is 1 to 3 months. It very rarely will take 3 months, but sometimes it does. Sometimes it does if I'm just like not in the mood to do art. And I need to give myself that window to let that happen without screwing over my customer. I always offer people the option to give me a deadline, which does usually increase the cost depending on when that deadline is, but it's always an option. If they need it sooner, that's definitely possible. My suggestion is to go as quickly as possible, but as realistically as possible. Don't kill yourself doing a commission like every day, like finish a commission within a day every time, because that's not sustainable. You also want to make sure that you're giving yourself enough time to make sure that the commission is done well, so take that into consideration. My suggestion is to kind of figure out a realistic timeline. So maybe like for a 5x7 commission, that'll take me a week to make sure it's done properly. And then add on like 2 weeks to give yourself some buffer time, like minimum. And like this like larger window is just in case. It's in case, like worst case scenario situation. It does not mean that you can't get it done faster, but you don't want to set a precedent that like all my commissions are done within 1 week. And then school starts up again and you're like, oh no, just kidding, it takes a month now. You may as well give yourself that wiggle room off the bat, just in case. And if it's taking longer than about 2-ish weeks, just keep your customers updated. Just let them know you haven't forgot about them, you're working on it, send them updates, let them ask questions, let them know that they can ask for an update whenever they want. And I've never had a customer be like, it's taking too long. Like, you need to work faster. As long as they know that I am working on it, they're satisfied. If you have an issue with limiting the amount of time you spend on work, if you're one of those people who doesn't know when to like stop, you're constantly overworking, my recommendation is to give yourself a timeline. Even if the customer didn't ask for one, maybe limit the amount of hours you spend every day working on it, or limit the amount of hours overall, or the amount of days overall that you work on it. Give yourself a fake deadline so you can cut yourself off when you need to. How do I do a commission info sheet? What is that? So a commission sheet is a all-in-one place to find all the information needed to commission you. It should list the options that you provide, how to contact you, pricing, guidelines, things that you will draw, won't draw, things like that. I keep it as a highlight on my Instagram account because that's like the main place that I get and give commissions. But you could have a website. I've seen people link like Google Docs. There's all sorts of ways to organize it. As long as it's information that is visible, you're fine. I also don't think that there's any like clear way of organizing them. As long as it makes sense to you and it's like legible, that's fine. Like I don't think it really matters how you organize it. But I have a flow that I kind of follow. I start with guidelines, things that might turn people away. So like my hard no's, how I pay, stuff like that. So like right off the bat, they can look at my information and determine whether or not it's worth them commissioning me. So things like that. And then I like to organize. I try to group things by likeness and then by ascending prices generally. But it's kind of random. Do whatever you want to do. Also, I did this as a Instagram like question thing and people wanted to see examples. So I want to really quickly go through all of my old commission information sheets. Feel free to use these as references for pricing or for like mapping out your own. Okay, so here's my first one. So I like looked at the dates and I made it like 2-ish weeks after I started my Instagram, and I think that's crazy. But you can see it's literally like 3 slides. I have commission information and I say that I only take it through PayPal. I won't draw, I meant to say personas or NSFW, and then DM me with any questions. And then I show all my line art color stuff that I do, and then I show my line art things that I do. I have prices and I have examples. So definitely really simple. And while this was sufficient for me being a beginner, I will say it wasn't enough. You need more than this to protect yourself. This is from 2018, less than a year later. You can see it's double the size. My commission information, prices in US dollars, payment via PayPal, payment received up front. I think it's important to say that kind of stuff. Well, I won't draw, so that way people know right off the bat if they want that, they can commission me, and then contact me. And then I have a split up between line art, flat color, full color, and then the pricing per the size. And then I added, this was just another thing that I used to offer, was like a stylized like page, but that like was dumb. I don't know why I ever offered that. And then I have realistic portraits, and under each one I kind of describe like what you can expect from each one. This is from 2019, much more, where it should be. So we start with commission info, price in US dollars, payment via PayPal only, must be received up front, and then I talk about a 25% late notice fee, things I won't draw, and then contact me, and then I have my flat, full with a background, digital stuff. And then this is when I started offering traditional, and I do sizes and have different price per person. Doesn't include shipping. Any extra elements like backgrounds, doodles, etc. will cost extra. So I'm trying to make it very clear like what you can expect from this piece and what will cost more. And then I have a description of what the piece is so people know what they're paying for. And then I have portraits and basically do the same thing. And then at the end I say, if there's something that you want that you don't see listed, contact me. And I like to make that available to people because I get a lot of commissions that are not things that I actually offer that I'm willing to do, but it's like more of a price per, like a case-by-case basis. And then here is my current one, I think starting sometime in like early 2021, and this does need to be updated soon. But this I feel much more confident about, and what I recommend people kind of do. It's a lot of information, but it's important, and we'll talk about why later. So I start with the commission info in the beginning, just letting people know what to, hard nose, stuff like that. And then I changed what I will and won't draw. And I like things like this that are general no's. I like to say that I will draw them because people might automatically assume no. I talk about traditional and the sizing and how many people can be in each one. And then as you can see, there's like a pretty big discussion about a pretty big piece of text about what it requires. If you want a photo recreated or a realistic drawing, please provide the reference. So I say what I expect and what you can expect. And then I talk about my portraits, and again, saying what I expect of people and what they can expect of me. Pet commissions, same thing. I talk about shipping prices, all sorts of stuff. Digital, as you can see, I've taken away everything, like it's all full color because I didn't like doing the other things. So why would I offer them? Then I have paintings that I offer, again, talking about what you can expect and what I expect, like what I need from you. And then we get to the juicy stuff. So then I have a page of disclaimers, basically giving more information about what you can expect from the entire process. I have a shipping and refund policy, and then fees and how to, so talking about late notice fees or cancellation fees, stuff like that, and how to commission me, which is outdated. And we'll get into all that later. But those are what my commission info sheets looked like and currently look like. I hope that helps. I know it can just be confusing until you like see an example. So again, feel free to reference those or reference the pricing. Yeah, I hope that's helpful. So now we're going to get into a little bit of extra advice, kind of talking about those disclaimers and the fees that I was talking about, how to protect yourself and your customer. So first of all, make your boundaries clear. In the commission, like in your commission information sheet, make your boundaries clear off the bat. What you will draw, what you won't draw, what you don't feel comfortable with. Make it clear that you are allowed to refuse any commission for any reason. Clearly state what you need from customers, what you expect from them, when you need payment, if you need references, what kind of communication you need from them. It streamlines the process and makes it a better experience for everyone. Clearly state how long a commission is going to take, so that way no one is surprised if it takes too long. Sometimes people don't know how long art might take, and they might be the next day like, hey, where is it? And they might be mad that you're not done because you didn't tell them, oh, my commission time is 3 weeks. So make sure that's clear. Make it clear what your customers are and are not allowed to do with your art once it's in their possession. Most likely, they should not be allowed to make any sort of profit from it. That's a whole different thing entirely than getting a commission. Generally, it should be for personal use only, but that's up to your discretion. Are they allowed to post it? Where are they allowed to post it? Make sure that they know that if they post it, if you want this, that your signature or your logo should be easily visible. Make it clear what you're allowed to do with the commission. Are you allowed to post about it? Are you allowed to use it in videos for advertising for your commissions? If you need to make limitations, do that. Like, do whatever you need to do to protect yourself. If someone has ordered from you like a lot and you don't really want to work with them anymore or whatever, if you feel like you've done too much for them and you aren't getting the opportunity to work with other people, limit the amount of orders that you take from someone or from someone at one time. Also, figure out an adjustment policy. This is huge, and I don't think people really think about this all the time. So I keep my customers up to date with every major stage of the commission. That way, that if I'm doing something wrong, they can catch me as soon as possible before like the end of the commission and they're not satisfied. So throughout the entire process, they have the opportunity to make major adjustments. And then at the end, they get 3 chances to make minor adjustments, and that's it. If you did an entire commission and you send it to someone and you find out you misunderstood the entire thing, it's on you. It should be on you to like redo the entire thing because you misunderstood their instructions. I've done that before. It sucks. Or even if you've done everything right, they might at the end have you making like another like $20, $30 worth of adjustments at the end, tweaking things, and like that's work that you're not getting paid for. Having an adjustment policy is to keep you from being overworked, and it's making sure that your customer is satisfied the entire time throughout the entire process. So it's keeping you both safe here. I also suggest making a rush fee. I think I have like a week or like a 2-week rush or like a month, maybe just a month rush fee, but I definitely recommend having it. I do it to where like I take the overall cost, like including shipping, and I add I think like 25% of that cost on top for a rush fee, and it really helps. People are definitely willing to pay for that if they need it, and they're paying to jump the queue and for your expedited work. So don't feel bad about that. It's a pretty normal thing, but think about that too. Also think about when to take payment. I always take full or mostly full payment up front, which I don't see a lot of artists do, and I highly, highly, highly recommend you do that. I really, really, really do. I have been gypped multiple times, and I've had people try to scam me since, and it's not fun. It's really not fun. I simply refuse to let it happen again, and therefore I take payment up front. I will say I think it might be easier for me to ask for payment up front because I have a sizable audience and it's not likely that I'm scamming a lot of people. Like I have a large enough audience that I think people can trust me and they know that I'm, worthwhile. But I will say that you should try your best to receive as much payment as possible up front. Be transparent about the process, but protect yourself. If people are uncomfortable with paying full up front, I do offer like a 75-25 thing where they can pay 75% up front and wait to pay the 25% later. So that's always an option you can think about, maybe 50-50 if like full payment up front isn't an option for you. Also, make sure that you are sending your final product with a watermark. Never send the final product unless you have full payment. Do not send it to them in a way that they don't need. Like they might not pay. That happens all the time where people will send like the actual file and then be like, okay, pay me, but why would they pay you? Like, that's a bit pessimistic, but it happens a lot. Don't risk it. Always send it with a watermark, always. And that's just keeping them from like stealing the art and not paying you for it. Just do something to where the picture of the piece is unusable, and then only send them the real product once they've fully paid you. I never ever see artists asking for payment up front. Please do. I mean, people might disagree with me, but I see so many stories on my Explore page of artists talking about how they're being scammed. And I'll like scroll through the posts and they'll like be sending full pieces before they've even received a cent. And it hurts me. Like it hurts. I don't even start my commissions until I'm paid. Like it hurts me. Please protect yourself. Again, you might disagree, but please don't do that. There are a lot of ways you can be scammed. A lot of ways. People will go to great lengths to get money from you or to get free art from you. You wouldn't believe like what people are willing. It's crazy. I wouldn't think that it'd be worth it, but apparently it is. Anyways, let's also talk about refund policies. My policy is that if I haven't started the piece at all, I'll give a full refund. If I've already started, I think I do like 50%. If it's finished, I don't refund. It does sound harsh, but it is my income. This is my job. Definitely make sure that you have a refund policy in place. It protects you and your customers. And definitely don't, I've gone through pretty much all of these issues that I'm talking about. I have these policies in place because of a bad experience. And if I had just had these policies in place in the first place, it would have saved me a lot of trouble. So think about this now rather than waiting until the crisis happens. The trickiest bit is shipping issues. I have had a $120 commission get lost in the mail. It sucks, like bad. Always make sure that you have tracking. Sometimes you have to specifically request it, especially if it's small and it counts as an envelope. Tracking is your best friend. On your commission sheet, let your customer know that if they have some sort of specific shipping they'd like expedited shipping or insurance, that you will happily do that if they're willing to cover the cost. So my policy is that I always make sure I have a digital scan of a piece before I send it out, and I always have tracking. And if something gets lost or damaged, the best that I can really do is offer a high quality print of the scan in replacement. I know it's not the same, but that's kind of the best that I've found that I can do. There's always a chance or a risk that it could get lost or damaged in shipping, but once it's out of my hands and it's with the post office, it's no longer my responsibility. I can't do anything about it. If I could hand deliver every commission to people to ensure they got there okay, I would, but I can't. But definitely think about it and have a policy in place so you can help your customer if this happens, because it sucks. It really does. How to turn down a commission I don't want to take, and how do I know which commissions to accept? So this is, I think, where having this commission information sheet really comes in handy, because it basically weeds out stuff for you. If it fits my general guidelines and my commissions are open, I'll take the commission. There are very few commissions that I won't take, unless it's something like I've had people wanting me to design logos, and I've had to say hey, that's just not my wheelhouse. I can't give you a satisfactory, product. I recommend some other people. But generally, people are just asking for what I offer, and I have no reason to decline them, so I take the commission. And if they come in with something asking me to draw something that I said that I wouldn't draw, I don't feel bad about being no, I said no already. Why did you even ask? So having a thorough commission information sheet is super important in so many ways, and it prevents you from having awkward situations, like having to be oh, I don't like drawing that though. So I recommend having that for sure. But if you are going by more of a case-by-case basis, I recommend just taking whatever feels like it would be fun for you and what would be worth your time. If something makes you uncomfortable in any way, just don't draw it. Just don't. And how do you turn down a commission? This is kind of hard. Remember that you have the right to turn down any commission for any reason, and you have every right to exercise that. It can be hard to confront people, but remember that you need to take care of yourself and you need to look out for yourself. Don't feel bad for doing it. You can be direct and just be hey, I just don't want to work with you. Maybe last time you felt uncomfortable, or maybe just you don't like, whatever you need to say. Be honest, be polite, but maybe they made you feel uncomfortable. Maybe the commission makes you feel uncomfortable. Maybe your creative visions don't match. Maybe they keep requesting K-pop characters and you just don't want to draw K-pop characters. Stuff like that. There's valid reasons, and if you just don't feel like drawing their stuff, you can just say that. Don't be rude. I saw a story where someone commissioned an artist and the artist was but your OC is ugly. Don't do that. But if someone is recommending high fantasy and you're I really don't enjoy drawing high fantasy, I don't think I'll give you a satisfactory product. That's totally fine to say. Let them know that maybe your skills aren't right for the project, your creative visions don't line up, or that maybe you've been spending too much time with this specific person and you feel you're not getting to try new things with other people, and so maybe next time. What supplies should I use in my commission? You should be using the best option that you have. So you shouldn't be using Crayola markers if you have Copics on hand. Do you know what I mean? The quality of your supplies is going to affect the cost of your commission. You should be considering light, fastness, the formula, longevity, things like that. So if you're using cheaper supplies, that needs to reflect in your prices, and you should be upfront about that. But I will say that there is a certain standard I think most artists should meet. So maybe don't use printer paper. If that's all that's available to you, I totally understand. But do your best to at least go get a sketch pad. You don't, like I said, you don't need to be using the best of the best, but consider the fact that people are paying for your art. And so you should be giving them the best that you can. I don't think lower quality supplies should be gatekeeping you from offering commissions, but definitely think about how that will affect the entire process and whether or not that's worth people paying for. What happens if I mess up the art or the customer isn't happy? Again, this is where these guidelines that we put on our commission information sheet really come in handy. I cannot stress enough how important having a thorough commission guideline sheet is. It helps so much. So like I said, I think I said this before, my policy is that I update people at least 3 times throughout the process at every major stage, so they have every opportunity to tell me if I'm heading in the wrong direction. If I make a mistake, if I spill paint on something, that's on me, and I personally feel that I should be responsible for starting over because that was on me. If you're unhappy with how it's turning out, I recommend contacting the client and like being upfront about it, letting them know where you're at, show them and let them be the judge. They might think that it's totally fine. You know, we're our own worst critics. You might just be really hard on yourself. They might love it and think that it's totally fine, and they might think it's worth continuing. Or they might be like, yeah, I don't know if this is what I wanted. If you feel like it's so bad that you just don't even feel comfortable accepting payment, there's a few things you could do. You could offer a partial refund and the finished product. You might do a full refund with or without the product. You might offer to start over, whatever you think is fair, whatever you're comfortable doing. But overall, when situations like this arise, I think the best path is to just contact the customer and talk it out with them. You can have your own policy for this, obviously, but basically, we want to work on preventing this situation from happening in the first place rather than scrambling to find a solution when it does happen. Because situations like this are really, really easily preventable, like having those check-ins and like being really clear and upfront, giving updates, things like that. So we don't have to deal with people being unhappy with a surprise product. How do I ask for payment? So this can definitely be an awkward conversation. I totally get that. For me, because I take payment up front, it is kind of pretty easy. So whoever's commissioning me will have like this conversation about what do you want? Like, can you send me references? I'll confirm that, yeah, I can definitely do that. And then I'll ask a few clarifying questions. Do you want a background? Do you need any extra elements? Are you in the United States so I can determine shipping costs? Do you need it by any specific time? And that naturally will lead me into telling them their total, and I'll kind of summarize it for them. Okay, so considering you want 2 people with this background and you need it by this time and the shipping is this much, your total will be this amount. Does that sound okay to you? Usually they say, yeah, that sounds totally fine. And then I'll say, okay, so do you want to pay now or did you need to pay at another time? Usually, because people know that I expect payment up front, they're ready right away and I just send them my PayPal link. If you're not taking full payment up front or payment up front at all, and you have to ask for it later, try to do it at in a natural way. Don't just like randomly pop up in their DMs and the first time be like, hey, give me my money. Where's my money? Perhaps you can like send an update. Be like, hey, here's where I'm at. I've kind of reached a halfway point, but before I can proceed, I'm going to need payment. Are you ready to pay now? Or if you're sending a final watermarked piece, you can be like, hey, let me know if you need any adjustments before you send over the final payment, and then I can send over to you the finished product. Or like, hey, let me know if this is good. If it is, I'll send over my PayPal link and you can send me X amount. Remember that you're kind of in the lead here. You're the professional in this situation, so you can have some authority. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to be demanding, but also let them know that it's not like up for negotiation. So like when I say like, hey, I need payment, I don't want to be rude. I want to be kind about it, but it's not a question. I'll say like, hey, are you ready to send X amount now or do you want to send it later? Not, do you want to send the money? It's, you need to send it to me, but when do you want to send it to me? Does that make sense? Sometimes there's situations where they're willing to pay up front, but they need to wait till Friday on payday, and that's totally fine. I will mark that person's name down, and if they don't get back to me on the day they say they will, I might wait an extra week and then follow up with them. Just be like, hey, are you still interested in a commission? And usually they are, they've just like forgotten, and then they'll pay, and then we're good to go. I also want to say, in my experience, money should be the simplest part of the process. Some red flags for scams. If the money becomes complicated, that is a red flag. The most difficult a money situation should ever be is I have to wait until my paycheck comes next week. That is the worst it should ever be. There's like that weird check scam where they'll be like, well, oh, I accidentally wrote a $1,500 check. The commission is only $500, so you have to write me a $1,000 check. No. Like if anything comes up, I've had someone say like, oh, money isn't an issue. Money isn't an issue. Just send me sample work now and we'll send you like $1,000 later. And it was a scam. Like if there's any sort of weird emphasis on money or any confusion about the money, red flag. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed scam, but it's a red flag. The money should be the simplest part. Anyways, overall, don't feel bad about asking for payment. You did the work. They should pay you. This is a contract that they also committed to. That, you're doing the work because they're paying you, and they're paying you because you're doing the work. How does payment actually work? So, again, this is like the simplest part in my opinion. Basically, they send you money. I know people have issues with PayPal. It's the only thing I've ever used, and I have no issues with it. So I can't really speak to other platforms. But for a while I was using Ko-fi, which is connected to PayPal, but it was easier to just send people my PayPal link. So that's literally all I do. If they say that they're ready to pay, I send them my link. I get a notification that it's been paid. Boom, we're done. I like that it keeps track of everything for me. It does tax forms for you. It's really nice. It's really convenient. But so it should be pretty simple. Also, people asked about taxes. Frankly, I don't know. Frankly, I can't help you there. I don't understand taxes. But that is what's nice about PayPal. It keeps track of all of that information for you, and it like does the tax form for you, which is great. But there we go. That's it. That's all my advice on commissions. If you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them in the comments. I don't want to do like a follow-up video on this until I need to do a fully updated thing. So if there's anything I missed or anything you're unclear about, I will do my best to answer in the comments. I hope you found that helpful. I had fun talking about this actually. I know a lot of people had a lot of questions about it, so I hope I cleared some stuff up. And I hope I gave you the confidence to go ahead and do it. I think I said a lot of scary things actually, so maybe I didn't. But as long as you protect yourself, you're going to have a great time. Commissions are genuinely really fun. I do a lot of art that I never would have done otherwise. It's introduced me to a lot of new things. Commissions are great. And they are a great source of income. They're super fun. So I recommend doing commissions if you feel ready. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. You know what to do. I'm going to go eat a PB&J. So go eat a sandwich. Go write a journal entry, and go do some art.